Hello, today we're going to talk about the extra point and going for two. What is that about? All right, so extra points. In the early days of football, everything was 1 point. And the extra point was actually more valuable than the touchdown. In fact, people wanted to score the touchdown, so they had the privilege of kicking for the extra point. So here's the deal about extra points. Extra points are called point afters, or PATs, extra points, or conversion. They all mean the same thing, that you get to try for a point after touchdown. Sometimes you maybe hear it called the try. All right, now from 1897 to 1957, all conversions were basically 1 point. And early on, before that, they were even more. But from 1958, the 2 point conversion became the rule. And when it became the rule, it changed the strategy. Because now, instead of just going for one, you could go for two and take the lead if you were trailing. So some strategy came into it. So when you're watching a game today and you see a team going down the field, how will you know if they're going to go for two? Well, there's a couple of things they look for. They look for the score, the time remaining, and the anticipated success of making the 2 points. Because in order to score one, you kick. In order to score two, you must run or pass the ball into the end zone. Now, in terms of anticipated success, the odds of making a successful kick are about 98.3%. The odds of scoring on a run or a pass are about 55-56%. So it does play a factor when you come into deciding what to do. There have been some teams. There was a high school team in Bloomington, California that set the national scoring record in 1995. They went for two every single play. Every time they scored a touchdown, they went for two. They never kicked. However, usually teams will decide what they're going to do. So one of the things that made this a little easier for coaches is that in 1970, a coach by the name of Dick Vermeil at UCLA came up with a chart. Dick Vermeil later went on to become the head coach of the Los Angeles Rams, and in his last year won a Super Bowl. But here is the chart that Dick Vermeil created to help coaches determine if they would go for two or go for one. Very simple chart, but it's all based on the score. So, for example, if you score a touchdown and you take the lead by one, you should go for two. Just go for two. Here is why. If you're ahead by one, a field goal of 3 points will beat you. But if you go for two and make it, they will tie you with a field goal and they have to beat you with the touchdown. So it's all based on the score and what the other team is going to have to do later on. So here is the chart that Vermeil put together. If you're ahead by two, go for one, because that will give you three. They've got to kick a field goal to tie you. If you're ahead by three, go for one. If you're ahead by four, go for two. This can be extrapolated ad infinitum. I just went for 10 here because I only had that much room, but I could have taken this to 20. I could have taken it to 50. Now, there is also a column if you are trailing. So if you are trailing by one after a score, you should go for two. That will put you in the lead. And a field goal will still put you in the lead later on. So here is a very simple chart. The only one that's really a question mark is if you're trailing by four. Because a field goal and a touchdown, so that's a decision you have to make as a coach, or that a coach would make, based on these things: the score, the time remaining, and the anticipated success. So the defense can also use this chart simply to anticipate what the offense is going to do. Now, here is the thing about this. This has gotten so deep in terms of game theory and decision making that there are guys at MIT and Stanford and Berkeley who are writing entire dissertations using economic game theory to boil this thing down. Because here's what people don't understand. We already talked about the percentage of making a kick versus a running a pass. But do you realize if the quarterback runs it versus a running back running it, the odds are higher. If it is a pass versus a run, the odds are higher. But for this lesson today, here's really all you need to know. An extra point is what they do after a touchdown. The rule was changed in 1958 that changed the strategy. There are 3 things to consider before you go for 2, and there is a chart to help you make that decision. I hope that fills you in and informs you on extra points. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you on our next Gridiron History.